So, Don't Starve Together is lauded as an uncompromising survival game, but to some people, it isn't uncompromising enough. I am not one of those people. Now, I still think the game can be pretty challenging at times, and do get enjoyment out of just playing the game normally and trying to survive as long as possible. So why am I trying to survive exclusively on the Lunar Island, one of the most devoid and sterile places in the entire game? I wish I knew myself. For those who are unaware, the Lunar Island in Don't Starve Together is part of the archipelago that the game takes place on. Only difference being it's one of several smaller land masses that is completely unreachable by foot, meaning you gotta take a boat there. The island itself is home to a bevy of unique and interesting features and mechanics not found on the main island, such as replacing your sanity with enlightenment, unique fauna and flora. But nobody ever lives on this island. It's mostly just a place you occasionally visit for access to glass tools and lunar boss progression, and of course the delicious and ever-abundant stone fruit that can be found naturally growing there. So, with access to unique and powerful tools and nearly infinite source of food and materials, living on this island should be a breeze, right? Well, not quite. Despite its abundance in materials such as stone and wood, there is one thing that never naturally appears on this island. One thing that is paramount to building pretty much anything important in the game. And that one thing would make this a whole lot easier. So, what are we doing then? Our main goal is to find out how long can you survive only on the Lunar Island. Some ground rules before we begin. We are to spawn in-game and then immediately set our locations to the main Lunar Island. After that, we are going to set our sanity to 0, which will set our enlightenment to 0 too. This is to emulate how spawning on the normal island, your sanity is always maxed out so you don't instantly have to deal with nightmares attacking you. Just replace nightmares with gestalts, something we're about to become very acquainted with. The only character we have banned is Woody, and this is purely due to how he can transform into a goose and instantly leave the island to find materials. Kinda defeats the whole purpose. Other characters are a-okay. No dying and just floating back to the main island as a ghost, again, defeats the whole purpose of trying to see how long we can survive for. Natural deaths on the island are revivable, but only with materials found on the Lunar Island, which won't be much. And the big rule, no boats. 0 boats are allowed, even if you use them to hug the coast or check nearby lunar islands. Default world generation settings, and the only mods I'm using are UI mods such as expanded interface and geometric placement. And that's it. With all that out of the way, let's get to it. So, I decided to play as Wilson and Tig decided to play as Maxwell. An unconventional pairing, but whatever. I chose Wilson due to his recent rework giving him access to some very potent and useful transmutation abilities that would definitely help making some non-renewable items on the island renewable. And Tig chose Maxwell due to his shadow abilities at the time seeming like they'd be pretty useful. We'll come back to that. Spawning in, we caught our only glimpse at greenery we'd see for the next few hours and quickly teleported ourselves over to the Lunar Island. If there was a way to spawn on the Lunar Island with a mod, we'd have done that instead. After spawning in, I was initially worried that we'd only spawn on the wasteland part of the Lunar Island, since there's usually multiple that are not connected. Fortunately, however, we did quickly find a lunar forest biome, giving us access to wood and twigs. So for now, the initial start is starting to look a lot like a standard Don't Starve world. We gathered our bearings whilst collecting any materials that would be useful. Sticks, flint, rocks, and some wood for the night. Tig used their shadow workers to help chop down a large forest, but then we quickly realised something. Trees on the Lunar Island do not drop saplings once they've been chopped down. Instead, they drop lunar moths which function as saplings. However, to actually catch them to plant them, you'll need a bug net. So we went to see if we could attempt to cull a nearby spider population for some silk for our bug net. Tig went and used probably a bit too many charges from their Codex Umbra to kill a couple of spiders. Oh, but don't forget, these ain't your run-of-the-mill normal Don't Starve spiders. Oh, no. These spiders are little hellspawn. They can't lunge like spider warriors do, but do employ a ranged attack occasionally that can do some bothersome damage, which would be an issue for Tig and their low max HP. We only got 2 spider glands from them before dusk hit, so we decided to fall back. Nighttime was quickly coming, and we harshly realised that we can't make a simple campfire or torch and would need to make a fire pit first. So we rushed over to the quarry and mined as many stones as we could to quickly get a fire pit down before the darkness consumed us. With night falling on us, we spent our time cooking up some stone fruit, which is a very useful resource as it gives you both a fulfilling meal and a renewable source of rocks. With our bellies partially full and heads emptied, we walked on into day 2. Day 2 started a lot like day 1. We walked around the island to uncover more of what little land we had to work with. We came across the, so to say, beach area, which gave us access to new materials such as reeds and bull kelp. Pretty useful stuff to have near you in a standard Don't Starve world. However, we were not playing a standard Don't Starve world. We chopped up some driftwood for a couple extra twigs and fuel, said hello to some funky looking starfish before heading back to the main part of the island when dusk hit. We decided now would be a better time than any to dig up those weird idols we found encased in rocks, so we did just that, then reassembled them into a lunar altar. This gives us access to a small selection of useful items such as a better axe made out of glass, and a cutting saw that would be useful for fighting, and some bath bombs that may have a use when winter hits. When night hit, we headed back to our camp, which was uncomfortably close to a mutated spider mound before wrapping up day 2. Not much happened on day 3, it was more of the same. As we had the island mapped out at this point, we really didn't have much to work with. Gathered fruit, made some tools, mined some rocks, it was all pretty uneventful. So instead of showing you all that, I'll tell you now why I thought this challenge was not going to be easy. You may have figured it out by now, but the one resource you cannot find on this island is grass. There is no way to find grass anywhere on this island. Period. Without access to grass, we don't have access to stuff like torches, basic campfires, but the main huge thing we have zero access to is rope. Rope is a cornerstone item in Don't Starve, as it is used for most things in the game. Practically all forms of armor such as log suits, marble suits, football helmets all need rope. Spears need rope too, but thankfully we can make glass cutters instead as our main weapons. But having zero access to any form of armor makes combat incredibly dangerous for us, even with the higher damage glass cutters. We also can't make drying racks, animal traps, to hunt spiders, backpacks and tough traps, to only name a few. That bug net that we wanted to make to catch lunar moths and replant loon trees needs rope. So with grass being unattainable, logs would have been classed as non-renewable. However, Wilson can transmute sticks into wood and we have plenty of sticks. But our lack of any form of armor in a game where most monsters can kill you in 2 to 3 hits won't stop us. We are, after all, professional Don't Starve gamers, right? Yeah, we will need grass. As the day rattled to its conclusion, we found a log on the coast. I didn't leave that there. Tig didn't leave that there. It was probably some ocean detritus floating in. Then it hit us. What if it's not just logs that can float in? What if it's grass? It will be slow, it will be tedious, it's not even guaranteed at this point, but it could be a way to get even minute pieces of grass. That tiny spark of hope was all we needed to press onwards, so onwards we pressed. On day 4, enlightenment was starting to become a bother to Tig. You see, since Maxwell naturally passively regenerates sanity, that means they'll naturally regenerate enlightenment too, way faster than other characters. Yeah, it was at this point Tig was really regretting their character choices, but we didn't want to start over. We kept going. Handling our enlightenment wasn't an impossibility. I mean, we could always just eat spoiled food and raw kelp, but that would only be a temporary solution. These lunar fissures everywhere would constantly bloat our enlightenment, and they only got bigger as the days went on. At least we didn't have to worry about the dark so much, and I'd rather deal with enlightenment than insanity any day of the week. With the idea of using kelp to control our enlightenment, I planted the fronds we found on the beach nearby our camp to start growing them. Last night I also noticed the campfire created some charcoal, a somewhat recent addition to the game. If a campfire is stoked to full with at least one log, it will produce charcoal when it burns out. This was good since we would be unable to get charcoal the standard way of burning down a small forest. We could use that charcoal to make a crock pot, a step in improving the quality of food we make. Not much else happened today, something that would become a regular occurrence for us, as you'll soon find out. Day 5. We decided to bring the fight to the spiders near our base, since they constantly kept drifting too close for comfort. Tig got their Codex Umbra ready and began spawning fighters to fight them and a worker to try and smash the nest. There were plenty of nests on the island, so we could afford to remove one. Tig took a bit of a beating due to the long casting animations, but managed to pull the spiders away whilst the worker did their job on the nest. I decided to finally make myself useful and ran to quickly get a glass cutter, which wasn't that quick since I ended up running the wrong way and didn't have the materials on me to make one. Thankfully I came back to an alive Tig and a large clearing where the spider's nest was. We got 4 silk and a few scraps of monster meat. Better than nothing? I finally went to make my glass cutter, so I'm actually prepared next time for any fighting instead of just running around like an idiot. As dusk came, I checked to see what I could make with our newly found silk. It was now that I learned that we couldn't make a bug net, so I danced with the thought of making a bird trap and a bird cage, all things we could afford, or maybe even a sea fishing rod, a good source of food and would make glass easier to get via lobsters. I took the safe choice for now and decided against making anything. Night arrived and I was nowhere near the base, a really big mistake in hindsight since I have no form of mobile light, but luckily for me, the lunar fissures would provide me with plenty of light. I used the darkness to try and lower my enlightenment a bit before day 6 came and started with a lot of the same. I had an idea to try and collect the anemones, those evil starfish guys, around the beach and relocate them to a better spot nearby as a sort of self-arming trap zone to help deal with hounds and potentially even the deer clops. I checked to see if I could trigger them without taking damage, as you need to trigger them to pick them up, but I ended up getting chomped like a big idiot and took a whopping 60 damage to my health. I scrapped the idea after that and went back to doing my rounds on the island. Regenerating our health wasn't really the easiest thing to do, and I, as of then, didn't really want to take 60 HP every time I wanted to move one. Day 6 left as fast as it arrived. Unfortunately for us, things would be getting pretty samey from here on out. We only had such a tiny landmass to work with, and with an ever decreasing pool of resources, the only thing we could do was wait for that non-zero chance to find some grass on the coast. Why? Well, a certain somebody was waiting for us a few days from now, and I ain't gonna meet them bare-chested. My daily schedule was to walk around the coast, clockwise, gather any stone fruit I could find, twigs, and maybe some rocks I missed, and then loop back around home to wrap up the day. At this point I felt like my insanity in real life was starting to take a hit. As day 8 broke, I topped up my health by eating some cooked stone fruit right before a hound wave was announced. I made a pitchfork to get another source of fuel for the fire and to make the base look a little bit presentable. Eventually the hounds arrived, and like all hound attacks in Don't Starve, the first wave was never a problem. Oh yeah, and then this happened. Oh yeah, I forgot they come back to life.
Move. There we go.
Yeah. Other than looking jarringly nasty, this wasn't much of a problem. Yet, at least. After that, the day went on as normal, going clockwise around the island. Sometimes I went counterclockwise if I was feeling extra adventurous, while scrounging together any materials I could find. At this point, my lunacy was almost always at max, but I didn't care at this point. The Gestalts were only ever going to be a minor annoyance since they don't ever actually do damage, just slowly put you to sleep. With another day almost over, we finally got enough charcoal to make our crockpot and cook up our first proper dish, ratatouille. An iconic dish in Don't Starve and not worth the sum of its ingredients. I don't know if that's a disrespect to ratatouille or just goes to show how good stone fruits are. Tig made some steamed twigs for any potential beefalo that get really lost, and then I made some kebabs out of the monster meat we had. A bit better than ratatouille, thankfully, but all in all, yeah, we could have lived without this crockpot. We'd also never have any fridge, but who cares, honestly? Stone fruit doesn't spoil anyway until it's been cracked open, so it's fine. Only thing you would have to worry about losing would be meat and such. Day 9 was just a blur to me. At this point I was starting to feel the effects of the island. Was I just doomed to repeat the same things over and over? Maybe I should be grateful for this haven I've been given, but I still feel incomplete.
Maybe that's why Don't Starve is so appealing anyway. Having adversity in your day-to-day activities. That or just seeing any colour other than blue. Day 10. It's day 10. The only thing different about this day was the number. I kept finding seeds on the coast, and every time I did, a little voice in the back of my head said that one day, instead of finding a seed, you'll find a bit of grass. That was pretty much the only thing keeping me going. At some point I saw another landmass. Unreachable of course, but my heart still yearned for what could be over there. It was probably another barren wasteland lunar island, but I would have appreciated the scenery at least. I was starting to feel like a prisoner at this point. More gathering, more checking the coast for that glimmer of hope. Would it ever actually come? It was at this point I noticed the fissures on the island were increasing in intensity. I guess it had something to do with the moon's phase. Would explain it. And speaking of that, on night 11 we had a full moon. Usually on the main landmass you'll use this time to explore at night, get some nightmare fuel from effigies, and of course get the best fluffy little idiot, Glommer. I miss Glommer. And Chester. And the colour green. Day 12 we found a bottle. A message in a bottle. Who knows what would have been in that bottle. Even with Tig's magical Maxwell powers we couldn't even reach it. Again, it felt very symbolic for our time on this island. Everything just out of reach. God, was it really only day 12? Usually I can handle Don't Starve for weeks at a time and never even feel the slightest bit bored. And here we are on day 12, losing our mind. I saw a carrot eating a seed. That was kinda neat. Oh yeah, on this island the carrots are sentient creatures that run away. That's why I haven't bothered collecting them. A few days ago, Tig threw a bath bomb into one of the pools. These make the waters hot for a short while, which is pretty good during the winter if you're ever far away from home and in need of a quick heat source. But after a while they kind of erupt into a glass sculpture that can be mined to get more glass and a gemstone. This time it was a red one, and the day after that a blue one. I can't really think of anything we can do with gemstones since any form of magic needs a prestidigitator, which needs rabbits, and I don't know if you've noticed, there's no rabbits on this island. Oh well, at least a renewable source of glass is nice. To keep myself busy, I decided I wanted to relocate the resources on the island closer to the base, just so I can see how many materials we actually have to work with. There were a few things to do on this island, so may as well optimise my time here. I got an insight point. I forgot to mention getting these before, but they are essentially skill points for the post-reworked Wilson. I did start this playthrough with only one skill point to my name. I decided to get more transmutation ability since getting access to more items might make my time here more enriching. I found a glass axe surrounded by loon trees. I've never even seen this before. After all the time I have on this game, I'm still finding new things. Since we got near limitless amounts of wood, why not gussy the base up a little bit with some chic wood flooring? Something I do normally anyway. Could help normalise my time here too. Right when day 15 broke we got another hound attack. Since it was so long since the last one, this one was a doozy. We were starting to get overwhelmed since the dead hounds would convert into horror hounds, and since we were constantly at maximum enlightenment, the gestalts were finally becoming an issue. Tig got put to sleep by one mid-fight and I thought that would have been it. Luckily only one hound was attacking them, any more and they would have been brown bread. I tried pulling the hounds away one by one since they are easy to kill on their own, and I wanted to avoid taking as little damage as possible since the whole no armor issue. I did the classic Don't Starve newbie strat of running away from the hounds to find something else to kill them. Fortunately for us, we had plenty things on this island that could help. And my hero were those fantastic little salamanders. They're deceptively strong. They managed to pull their aggro and even kill some on their own whilst we cleared up the rest. That was close. Tig got down to 25 HP, one hit away from death. Having no armor is no joke. I wrapped up the day by continuing to mindlessly just harvest all the materials on the island. Why not make a house a home? I started to make a wall that offers some sort of protection against whatever will come attack us next, but also to make the base look a little more homely. I used some lunar rock walls for the first time ever, and even if you live on the lunar island, you can still only make like 20 walls. Now I remember why nobody uses them. Day 16. We almost broke. We made a think tank to just look at a boat. We weren't going to break our own rules and make a boat, but damn were we close. I continued to make my wall out of stone this time. Oh, and by the way, another funny thing we couldn't make were hammers, so any mistakes in the wall I made were impossible to fix. Nice. For the next 2 days I went to move the saplings closer to my base, living out my mega baser dreams by keeping all needed materials right at my doorstep. It was just something to keep me busy and work towards at this point. I missed land, the soil beneath my feet instead of this horrible glassy surface. At this point the gestalts were just there. I didn't even care if they put me to sleep. I went to get some new turf to help spice up the base a little bit and finally bothered to actually dig up and move an enemy. Only to just place it back where I found it, since having it near the base won't help much since they only do like 60 damage. Better to keep them near the spiders to maybe kill them over time. Oh well. I made some chests to put all our stuff in. We may be living on a fragment of the moon that fell into the ocean, but goddamn it, ain't this gonna be a clean fragment of the moon. I scrounged up some lunar blossoms for Tig to make into bath bombs, since tomorrow marks a much anticipated winter. Normally a time for slight concern in a normal Don't Starve world, but for us, a change in scenery, new exciting opportunities. Let me tell you right now, winter is not an issue on this island. Not at all. In fact, it's easier than normal. Significantly so. Sure, we can't make most thermal gear or an emergency campfire or torch, but we do have thermal baths everywhere that can warm us up. Infinite light sources thanks to the fissures that were pretty much always on nowadays. And of course, as if stone fruit couldn't be any more overpowered, they grow perfectly fine throughout the winter. Oh, and how could I forget pangolins?
Are they angry at you?
Oh, they're weird! Oh, they're weird!
Oh yeah, oh, I forgot.
Never mind, don't look at them, they're a mistake. I'm taking their eyes and I'm never going near them again.
Another cool feature about winter on this godforsaken island is that gestalts, the already hard to see annoying ghosts that keep putting you to sleep, are now practically invisible. I got another insight point and oh god, the pangolins are still spawning. Get out of here, you freaks! I was worried they were going to do the classic pangol thing of moving right inside your base, but thankfully they kept relatively away. Tig did a funny and got knocked to sleep by a gestalt right next to some pangolins.
No, don't fall asleep almost next to the penguin. Okay, they're walking away then.
When you're walking. Did I forget to mention they're aggressive on this island? Yeah, they nearly killed Tig. But they didn't. We wanted to see if we could fight the spiders again, because why not? Might get some more silk or glands. It wasn't worth it. They can't be stun locked like their normal cousins on the normal island. It's just not worth it. What can we make with silk anyway? Bird traps? We don't need any more food. We're perfectly fine on our avocado-based diet. Top hats? Yeah, let's increase our enlightenment even faster. I also forgot to mention that, yeah, originally we thought we'd be able to get nightmare fuel to recharge Tig's codex, but we can't. So we have to ration what little use of it we have left. The next day came around like the 23 before it. I decided to say bugger it and use that silk I got ages ago to make a pro fishing rod to maybe catch some fish. I don't know, it was just something to do. One issue, however. I'm not going to be able to fish because the guest starts are going to keep banging into me.
Oh god, yeah,
Wait,
you're
let's
right
see.
actually.
Here comes one. Is that going to pull me out of the fish? Yep, cool. Right, fishing is...
Oh my god.
Bloody hell, right, can't even do that. Okay.
Can't even do that.
I hate this island. I came home to see the Moonrock Pangolins beating the heck out of our walls. I really hate this island. Fortunately, they are really easy to kill if they don't all mob you, so we fix the walls and hope to get a good night's sleep. Yeah, hounds came almost immediately. Tig summoned some duelists to help with them, but of course they decided the bigger threat was the adorable passive salamanders in our base. Thankfully though, this hound wave wasn't as bad as the last one. Fun fact, horror hounds drop lots of hound's teeth, so if you're ever needing them, come on over. We have literally zero use for them since tough traps need rope, and no, we're not making dapper vests since they have zero use. The highlight for this day were Tig's driving gloves. Hot Rod's driving gloves. Where are you driving off to then?
Yeah, where am I driving?
Hopefully off this island.
I apologise if we're skipping over days. Literally nothing noteworthy is happening. Just the same old walking around looking for stuff I may have missed, which is nothing. I've never had a winter in Don't Starve where I never got the screen cracking effect from being too cold. Just goes to show you how easy this island is during the winter. Even the cold, the main thing about winter, isn't even here. So in anticipation for the deer clops, I made a little forward base. I've always done this since it's a better way of ensuring the deer clop doesn't spawn near your actual base. And if she gets a desire to smash stuff, she'll be much more likely to smash stuff in the decoy base. Invest in decoy bases. Since we had a large amount of rot on day 28, I went to move all the stone fruit bushes on the island nearer to our base. Optimizing the fun out of the island is my new goal. I mean, walking 2 meters away isn't really fun, but I digress. I just hate this bloody island. Day 29 was unique in that nothing happened. Other than me discovering you can shovel karats to pick them up. I moved them into the base just in case. I kept moving the stone fruit bushes closer to the base, and by day 30 I got them all. Suck it, island. I decide where your fruit grows. Also, eating kelp lets me see colour for the first time since day 3. That was nice. But it was day 30. Tomorrow we're gonna meet our maker. The big old Shabuzi, the deer clops herself. Tig was stockpiling some butter muffins made out of lunar moth wings, and I started to accumulate some stone fruit, since besides glands they were the only sustainable method of healing I could afford. We made more glass cutters and prepared ourselves to fight the first boss of the game with no armor. It ain't gonna be easy, we may die, but... okay, time to come clean. The deer clops will not spawn. I'm sorry for leading you on like this. We honestly didn't know at the time that the deer clops just won't spawn on the lunar island. It's not known if it's a bug or a feature, but it's been like this for a couple of years now. I mean, how should we have known? We've only ever been on this island for like 5 days a year max on a standard playthrough. We waited and prepared for a boss that would never come. But I ain't gonna let it be like that. We're playing on PC, baby. I use console commands to get myself on this island, and I'm gonna use console commands to get her ass on this island. So consider this an uncanon section of the challenge. So we prepared. Day 32 came, Judgment Day, and we finally came unto our maker.
Ready.
There she is. Oh, don't go to sleep immediately. No, just summon Duelist. Just summon Duelist on him. Gosh. Oh gosh, yeah, so he's going to come for you, because... and of course, it's just that you guys are just fighting salamanders. Oh, I'm still getting hit by stalks. My sanity isn't draining fast enough.
God.
I can't hit it because it's chasing you. I thought it does directional attacks now. But it still can hit behind itself very slightly.
Very slightly, yeah.
I'm gonna hit by that.
I'm dead.
Okay, well, just stole. You're kidding me. Fine. Wake up! Just stole there, I see it. No, bye.
Fine.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, it went as well as you'd expected. Look, we're not that good at the game. I mean, I only have close to 900 hours on this game. You can't expect me to dodge gestalts I could barely see and not get hit twice against the deer clops, right? So yeah, that was that. Honestly, we were kind of relieved to have finally been released from that horrible island. Sure, this wouldn't have happened normally without divine intervention, but who cares? Honestly though, yes, to answer the title of the video, you can indeed survive indefinitely on the lunar island. You have all your basic needs fulfilled, food is unlimited, sanity isn't a risk, fuel and light are also unlimited, and depending on your character choice, your weapon making needs and even fighting abilities would be enough to last you forever. Sure, that hound waves would become harder and harder over time, and spring might cause issues with lack of shelter and frog rain, but everything else would be just a breeze. The main issue with doing this challenge is just how boring it is. It takes away from what makes Don't Starve fun to begin with, and that's adversity. The challenge of finding your food, the need to go out and get materials, having to be scared of the dark, it's all gone here. It's just not enjoyable. It just goes to show you that we like challenge in our day-to-day life, and no other game does that better than Don't Starve. I love this game. And also, of course, you miss out on like the whole entire game on this island. Biomes, caves, bosses, farming, you name it. You can't do it on this lunar island. It's terrible. If you for some reason ever want to undertake this challenge, then go ahead. Let us know how you get on if you do. Maybe it will be for you. But for us, I don't think I'm ever going to eat another stone fruit in my entire life. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. This was my first proper video project I've ever worked on, really. Always been a fan of those can you be X without Y style videos that have been popping up recently. Wanted to take a crack at one myself with a game I love. Who knows, maybe I'll do some more in the future. But until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Look after yourselves, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye guys.